Dhaka, Bangladesh. After staying uncharacteristically quiet in Myanmar about the persecution of that nation's Muslim Rohingya minority, Pope Francis began to find his voice on the humanitarian crisis upon arriving here on Thursday afternoon. Speaking behind a flower-covered lectern at Bangladesh's presidential palace, Francis mentioned the plight of refugees from Rakhine State and called for decisive measures to address this grave crisis. He said he admired Bangladesh's sacrifice in extending humanitarian care to the more than 600,000 Rohingya refugees who have streamed across the border to escape the Myanmar military, and noted that this good deed has also been done before the eyes of the whole world. None of us can fail to be aware of the gravity of the situation, he said. Disappointed critics have said that Francis, who has made championing the downtrodden a trademark of his papacy, did not adequately raise such awareness during the first leg of his trip to Myanmar, from which he departed on Thursday. At a news conference on Wednesday night, the Vatican spokesman bristled at the notion that the Pope's silence on the issue while in Myanmar risked his moral authority. The Rohingya have suffered systematic murder, rape, and forced exile by the Myanmar military and widespread prejudice and occasional violence by nationalist Buddhist monks. But Roman Catholic leaders in Myanmar urged the Pope not to explicitly mention the Rohingya, a contested and politicized term in the country, for fear of provoking a crackdown on Christians. As a result, Francis has tiptoed around a diplomatic minefield. He publicly spoke in general principles while meeting privately with the country's de facto leader, Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, whose own international reputation has plummeted for her refusal to speak out forcefully against the killings, and Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, the Commander-in-Chief of Myanmar's military and the architect of the politically popular persecution. The Vatican hinted that the Pope had raised the issue in those meetings and that he would feel freer to express himself here in Bangladesh. He is expected to meet with Rohingya refugees before he leaves for Rome on Saturday. While the Pope's remarks on Thursday evening in Dhaka took a step toward a more full-throated recognition of the humanitarian disaster, his words paled in comparison to that of Bangladesh's President, Abdul Hamid, who spoke before Francis in a chandeliered ballroom in the palace. Saying the Pope was aware that the Bangladeshi government had provided shelter to 1 million Rohingyas who were forcefully displaced, Mr. Hamid noted the atrocities of the Myanmar army. Women and children were brutally killed, thousands of women were violated, he added. They saw their homes burned into ashes. Emphasizing a responsibility to ensure the safe return of the Rohingya to Myanmar, Mr. Hamid commended the Pope's past comments in defense of the Rohingya, in a way that amplified the pontiff's more recent silence. Your passionate voice against such brutality raises hope for resolving the crisis, Mr.